Alright, what's up, Internet? VG Imminent here. I'm bringing you a public match right here, Demolition, this entertaining match I had. Usually I get on, I play a few public matches before I start League, and this one happened to be pretty entertaining. One of the guys on my team now was actually talking smack to me the game before, so it was pretty humorous to watch his tone of voice change as the match continued. But we really weren't playing the objective much at all. In fact, you're going to see a lot of my teammates run right past the bombs and stuff, because we ended up being on the same page about just getting kills and generally just showboating. But it was an entertaining match. Regardless, what we're going to go over today, the concept I'd like to talk about, is adaptability in gameplay and sort of problem-solving methodology you need to really just change how you're approaching problems. Let's say, for instance, you're just playing in a match and, generally everybody's a pretty fair-weather player. If it's working, it's working. You just continue doing what you're doing. And this generally applies down to everything to doing reasonably well. If it isn't broke, don't fix it. However, we all end up in situations where it feels like you're just beating your head against a wall. The other team is just locking down the hard points, or they're just outslaying you in mid-map control. The reasons could vary significantly. And a lot of people fall into this rut where, well, we have this problem, but I only know how to do one thing well, or I prefer to do this one thing. So they keep on approaching the game in that fashion. And what that ends up leading to is just quite simply frustration. It's not working. The enemy team's going to keep on slaying you because, let's face it, they're doing quite well. There's no reason for them to change what they're doing. So the burden of changing what is happening falls on the player that is having the tougher time. Really? We could say it in one sentence. Don't do what isn't working. The best way to actually kind of solve this is to back up just a little bit and think about why something isn't working. Let's say, for instance, Slum's hardpoint. I have a lot of trouble with Slum's hardpoint. The two hardpoints in the back of the map by Fountain and White Wall, it's very hard to break it. Now, I typically run an AR, and my problem with the AR is I end up playing too aggressive, and I'm trying to charge those anchors, charge those hills, and break in. And sometimes I'll just step back after a minute and be like, I don't feel like I'm doing that effectively, and I'll look at the score, and I'll have something like a double negative ratio or something down those lines. And I have to step back and think, okay, I'm doing terribly. What is the issue? Usually it's because I'm too aggressively charging their defensive positions. I'm thinking, oh, my gun skill will carry me through, but hey, the other team actually has gun skill, so obviously it's not going to work for me. And because of that, I start to approach it more passively. You play for the picks, you play to get the anchor and therefore spawns. It's not a matter of just, okay, I'm going to keep on doing what isn't working, hoping it's going to change. I forget who said it. I want to say it was Einstein. But insanity is doing the exact same thing repeatedly, hoping for a different result. Don't do that. You're not insane. I have faith in you. So change your approach problem. That is the important thing that separates a lot of the more versatile players from the ones that are kind of one-trick ponies. The one-trick ponies are the ones that, oh, sure, they do great in their wonderful little situations, but the moment they get outside of their comfort zone, outside of the little box, they have significant difficulty dealing with issues. Like, let's say, for instance, the biggest one is when people match other players in gun skill. It changes how you have to approach the game, because normally you could just run around charging players, just outgunning them, even if you were in terrible situations. Like, let's say, for instance, in this game, I really wasn't thinking about how I was playing. I was just kind of running around casually and stuff, because, let's be honest, their gun skill is, not to be harsh or anything, but a little bit lackluster. I could comfortably put myself in a disadvantageous situation and still come out on top. If I was playing against people that were much better, I would have to definitely change how I play. I wouldn't be able to charge and just pull through these miraculous situations. So you have to be able to change your approach pattern. Let's say, for instance, you're playing as an AR, and the other team is running pretty much primarily subs. They're being very aggressive in the close game, and they're just continually getting the drop on you. And just for example, there are two ways you can deal with this. You can change how you play with your AR, and try to actually pick up the distance for these little fights and everything. Or you can switch to a sub yourself, depending on how confident you are in those abilities, and your team chemistry can cover for you losing the AR. Both of those have helped solve the problem, provided your gun skill is sufficient. And this also leads to the next thing. A lot of times, you have people that only play one thing. Now, I kind of stand by the thing, or stand by the concept of be good at one thing in particular. Like, you should be able to say that there's one role you excel in, but you should be at least versatile enough to be able to pick up other roles and fulfill them adequately. This way, you have an idea about how the game's going to work out outside of your little role, your little vacuum, which is you being an objective player, SMG, or whatever it may be. And when you are more comfortable in all these different roles, for one, you understand how other people are going to play a little bit better, and two, you're going to be able to adapt and switch things up. It's like, okay, well, normally I take the open area, or I take the closed areas, and I move into that, or I camp over in these locations for hill switches or flag caps or whatever. But being comfortable in a bunch of different roles lets you have a wider variety of ways to fix problems. And you can only get that from being comfortable in your own gameplay. Now, it's very easy when you don't have faith in yourself as a player. The moment you die once or twice, to immediately think it is how you are playing, or you are not skilled enough because you're not comfortable with the situation. Like for me, with the sniper, for the longest time, I wasn't comfortable using it. I'd die once with it off the rip or something, and I'd immediately put it away because I'm like, this isn't going to work. I'm not going to be able to pull this. And it took a very long time for me to be able to say, okay, no, that was just the other player getting unlucky, or it was a mistake, but it wasn't me using a sniper. So you have to be comfortable in your own gameplay. You have to be familiar with a lot of different aspects of the game. But once you kind of have a firm basis of all these different roles, you're going to be able to adjust how you approach specific problems in the game. And the more you're able to adjust, the more you're able to deal with difficult opponents, because strategies shift, your tactics are going to shift. Being more versatile, being able to be more adaptable, having a methodology for solving these problems are going to allow you to play much better players, because you're going to be able to counter what they're doing. Really, video games, and Call of Duty in particular, is kind of like a very complex version of tic-tac-toe. Or, I'm sorry, not tic-tac-toe, rock, paper, scissors. Somebody's playing in one particular manner, they're throwing out rock, and you throw out scissors the first time. I'm sorry, tough luck. But you know that they're throwing rock, so you're going to come back out with paper. Obviously, this is an incredible oversimplification. Yeah, it's rock, paper, scissors, but it's like with 30 different variations. But the point is, you can adapt, you can come back with something that's more effective against what the opponent's doing. It may be changing your class. It could be something as simple as I need to sweep corners more effectively. Point is, you have to see the problem. You have to think about it just a little bit. It doesn't take that much. It's easy to figure out why you died. But it's more difficult to force yourself to start thinking about it. Once you do this, you can see your gameplay change quite significantly in those tougher matches. And once you start to pull those tougher matches and pull ahead, it becomes more of a natural thing. You're just going to naturally start countering what other people are doing. It'll lead to you being a much more effective player. Now, Ghosts is just around the corner. And because of this, I'm sure we're all thinking a little bit more ahead. And we're thinking, okay, yeah, Ghost, this is awesome. And Ghost is a perfect way to exemplify this. You're going to have a lot of opportunities to try out different things. I'd recommend you pick one particular concept and excel with that as much as you possibly can. Let's say, for instance, you're more of a, close range player or something. You're going to have opportunities to find all those close range encounters and stuff. You're going to naturally gravitate towards what you're good at. But you're going to have opportunities to learn how other roles play as well, and I recommend that. Just having an idea about how the game functions and how all the roles work with each other, you're going to be able to get on top of the game with all the other players out there. We're all starting at square one. Yeah, sure, it's an Infinity War game, but it looks a lot different, at least reasonably different from the previous iterations of COD. So it's a new game, it's a new entity. We're all going to have to relearn our roles. We're all going to have to be a bit more comfortable. And the players that are more adaptable, the ones that are willing to switch things up a bit, are the ones that are going to do better overall. So, let's see. Brief commentary on Ghosts itself. No, I haven't actually been watching too much of the Ghost stuff. I really don't get into like all these partial leaks and all these little things that people are like, oh, hey, look, the more info on this gameplay leak. But Ghosts, as of right now, seems like it is going to play a lot different than Black Ops 2. Just in the sense that Black Ops 2 is an arena game, and I'm saying that with air quotes around the arena, because generally all of the maps lead to very head-on confrontations and largely simple team tactics, in the sense that there aren't that many routes to do, and it's all kind of straight head-on-head action-oriented fighting, which is great. It's fun to watch, it's fun to play, but it's not incredibly complex. It's pretty simplistic. Now, Ghosts, just based on what I've seen so far, the limited amount of footage, has a lot more open, linkable maps and everything, which is going to lead to less head-on-head confrontation. Now, because of this, I would say that the gameplay is going to end up being a little bit more organic. Now, by organic, I mean it's not going to be quite the rock, paper, scissors, not quite the simple linking routes. It's going to be a little bit more, treacherous. There are going to be some sneaky plays, and it's going to probably rely a lot more on individual slaying power. Black Ops 1, for instance, was all about individual slaying. That's just how it played. The maps are a little bit bigger. They weren't quite as simple in the sense that there were 3 lanes, and it boiled down to players is going off, players slaying. I'm not sure if Ghost is going to follow this approach, but it'd be interesting to see if it does. And this is going to be a significant departure from Black Ops 2, because Black Ops 2 is largely pretty objective-oriented. It's all mid-map and objective. So it's going to change a bit just how good players are going to be able to play. We might see a lot of changes in the better teams in competitive, but hey, time will tell. I'm excited for it. Weapons in Ghost look like they're more damaging. Now, this is just based off of a little bit of information I know. I know, like, marksman rifles are a 2-hit kill max, apparently. 1-hit kill headshots. That's one reason I like Infinity Ward. They are not afraid to make weapons kill quickly. And we'll see how that goes, because we all remember guns like the Type 95 and everything. But I'm optimistic. It looks like a lot of fun. It's going to be fun to try. I'm upset about League play leaving, but we'll see. There'll probably be other opportunities as well. But the one thing I'm a little bit worried about is, unfortunately, Infinity Ward previously has kind of shown a disinterest in competitive play. Well, as a lot of people are like, it doesn't matter, who cares, it's competitive. That's like, it's like 400 players on the planet that care about it. Yeah, it's true, it's a smaller population and everything. But if a game is balanced for competitive, it's going to be balanced for everyone else. It's not like we're playing different games or anything like that. So it'd be refreshing to see that they demonstrate that they are willing to work with the competitive community. It'll make a better game for everyone. We will see. But onto the subject of Vendetta Gaming. We are going to try to put together a Vendetta competitive team. We really weren't pushing for it towards the end of Black Ops 2, but there was a conversation. Just because forming a team around people good at Black Ops 2 right now might be a little bit counterproductive, and Ghost is going to obviously create a lot more interest in the game, so we'll have a larger player base. Right now, Vendetta doesn't quite have enough players to really make a truly competitive team, but time will tell. So soon we're going to start pushing for it, probably right after the dust settles in Ghost, because honestly, it's going to be hard to tell who is a good player and who's a bad one in the beginning, just because everybody's so new. But optimistic, it should be a lot of fun. Ghost might be a lot more game battles oriented, and there might be a lot of renewed interest in, game battles, icons, all that sort of stuff, just because there's no more League play. It'll be interesting to see how that plans out, but hopefully there are a lot of interested players out there. If you guys are interested, please feel free to let me know. Just visit the Vendetta site. The links are in the description. Or just send me a tweet, add me on Twitter. My Twitter is at VGImminent. I check that quite frequently. If you have any questions about competitive, or you just generally want to talk smack or have a conversation, it's totally fine. VG Pride is another person to contact. He is excellent at pulling stuff together, doing a fantastic job. But optimistic, we're looking towards the future. Ghost is going to be awesome. If you guys want to come along for the ride with us, please do. But this game is winding to a close as our team's like, hey, you know what? Let's try to win at the very end here. And, you know, just we're all trying to slay, so objective really wasn't on my mind, at least. I'm like, yeah, that's nice. That's a bomb site. Who cares? I think I finished this 129 with like 19 deaths, something like that. I know that's not terribly impressive to a lot of you guys, but considering this is like my third game of the night, it wasn't too bad. But yeah, thank you guys very much for watching. Please like, subscribe, or comment. Be sure to add me on Twitter. And this is VG Imminent, and I'll see you guys later. Thanks for watching.